So guess what? The ones that didn't sleep well, the 3-4 days before they got the vaccine, their immune response was suppressed. Shows how important sleep is to make sure that as soon as an infection hits, you go gangbusters on it.
Okay, Welcome back to another thrilling episode of Circee Health Pod. We are finally talking about the third portion of our children immunity special.
Children immunity special.
As inspired by my recent trip to RSV-ridden America, and also thinking about upcoming flu season here and dengue season and other respiratory virus season here as it's getting colder, quote unquote.
Colder. Up north it's cold.
Yeah, it is. And in Mumbai, it's cooler than usual. But that does not mean Mumbaiers are completely free of respiratory viruses.
Yes, correct.
So
incidence increases.
Yes, that's why we're talking about that now. I'm just trying to get you and your kids ready for what may be to come. Yeah. So this part is talking about... in the first two parts, we talked about foods and then supplements and vitamins that can help. And now we're going to talk about maybe a less recognized part of the immune health is lifestyle changes. So non-medicine, non-food related things that you can do for your children and probably for yourself too.
Would you like to tell them who you are so that they understand?
I guess.
You should.
So if you've forgotten or tried to forget, I'm Dr. Ajoy Prabhu. I am a double board certified pediatrician and internist in both the US and India. And you are?
I'm Ajoy Prabhu. I'm a research pathologist. I study diseases, root cause of diseases, if you will. And I kind of supplement and help our clients and patients get better by really making them understand what is the cause of the disease and let eminent people like yourself help them get their way.
You basically, or not basically, one of the things that you do is you condense all the research that's out there into an easy to understand format.
Yeah, I hope so.
So we can help people.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So before we get into, I mentioned this multiple times, before we get into lifestyle changes that can help the immune system, let's talk about prevention, because prevention is the key to most medicine. If you can prevent disease from happening, you don't have to worry about building up your immune system as much, although that's still important. So I will get on my soapbox briefly. I promise, just briefly
I'm going to watch
prevention.
The time. I'm going to watch the time.
This will be a future episode or 7 of Circee Health Pod, but I do want to just put in my little soapbox about prevention. I will start with general prevention, which is hand washing, masking in certain situations. So when you know there's an outbreak of a certain virus or any virus, masking is appropriate in that case. We actually, the two of us agree that we don't think universal masking is needed at this point in the pandemic. Hopefully never again. But if you know there's an outbreak in your school, or if you or your child is actively sick to protect others, please mask, especially indoors. So masking, hand washing, when you sneeze in the corner of your elbow, don't put it in your hands, because if you think about it, you sneeze into your hands and then where do your hands go? Who knows? You shake someone's hand or you pat someone in the back or you eat or whatever. If it goes in your elbow, most people aren't greeting people with elbow hug. I don't know. But either way, it's also there's more surface area in your elbow to protect from those respiratory droplets going out. So those are kind of the general prevention strategies. My soapbox prevention strategy, I will try to stop myself, is vaccination. So we are in the minority. Ajoy and I are in the minority of the more natural health practitioners in that we fully 100% support vaccination. Always and forever, I love you. So
that's one way to put it.
Yes, that's how I say it. There's probably nothing that I am more passionate about than vaccinating, especially being a pediatrician. So just a couple summary points about vaccine. Please remember that immunizations, vaccinations are the end products of hours, years, decades of dedicated scientific research. These are not things that are brought up overnight. They are the scientists are intimately familiar with the mechanisms to produce vaccines and why they work and how they work and that they're safe. So that's number one. It's important for you. It's important for your children. It's important for your family. It's important for society, as we've all seen during COVID and as we all saw, or our family members saw in the influenza pandemic of 1918 before there were vaccines, right? So a couple of things relating to kids and vaccines.
Oh, before you go there, you said with everybody getting vaccine, you want to talk about the fact that it's got something called herd immunity and how it works?
Well, yeah, basically. So if you are unable to be vaccinated or if you choose not to be vaccinated, those that are vaccinated will protect the general population because
does not allow the infectious agent to get to the unvaccinated person, because the other ones are vaccinated, so they just kind of like stop the virus in its track.
Yeah, think of it as a herd of antibodies surrounding you with love.
And one more thing I want to mention is that as years go by, we lose perspective on what was happening pre-vaccination. I mean, pre-vaccination, there were people dying of simple things like measles
or diarrhea.
I mean, there is a vaccine for diarrhea, and nobody talks about it. So many. I think hundreds of thousands, lakhs and lakhs of people are now being not dying per year. I'm talking about per year worldwide. A few lakh people who used to die simply with diarrheal diseases, and that particular specific virus has we have a vaccine against it, and these people are not dying.
Especially
maybe
children.
30, 40, 50 years ago, no, not 50, more than that, 60 years ago, people are dying of other diseases that we think of nothing of them. Mumps.
Yeah, in fact, we've forgotten that these diseases exist. I'm like, have you heard of diphtheria?
Yeah.
Of course, we've heard of diphtheria, but you've probably not heard of diphtheria, and that's because it's until recently was essentially gone. Unfortunately, it's come back again.
That's what the problem is.
You mentioned measles. Measles has come back again
because people are not vaccinating.
Right. And it's not the measles rash that we worry about. It's the complications with measles, meningitis, encephalitis, which is inflammation of the brain. The list goes on. So yes, don't forget that there was a time before vaccines when people died, and so many children died, infants, babies, young children died of, and unfortunately now there are still kiddos that are being affected by vaccine preventable diseases. And at this point, I would consider COVID a vaccine preventable disease.
Yes.
So please keep that in mind. I'll just leave it at that.
All right.
So vaccinate, talk to your doctor. That's one other point I want to make. Talk to your doctor. If you have questions about vaccines, please talk to your doctor. We know the answers for the most part, and you won't get crazy information on Dr. Google or Dr. Yahoo or whoever.
Yeah. We've actually worked on.
We've both physically worked on vaccines.
We've physically been in labs where we're working on vaccines.
If you can't ask your doctor, ask us. And we will give you evidence-based and safe answers to all your vaccination
independently confirmed.
questions.
You can confirm it independently.
And I just want to throw a plug out to one of my favorite websites, www.healthychildren.org, which is a parent-centered part of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Will answer all of your questions about vaccines, or most of them, probably.
A lot of times what happens is people don't believe these things. So, I mean, we're saying that, we'll give you the science behind it and ask you to think about the fact that decades and decades ago, when vaccines were not there, people are dying. And would you want that same life to come back? Would you want your friends and families to have simple preventable diseases?
Coming from a doctor that has unfortunately had to treat severely ill kids and adults
and declared
them passed away from vaccine preventable diseases. So
it's really sad.
it's sad that that's still happening, but it is. So anyway, moving on to maybe happier things, just vaccinate. Okay. So sleep, I think I mentioned way at the beginning, is a very underappreciated part of your life and your kid's life, especially your kid's life. I think no, it's equal in adults and kids, but very important to get the right amount of sleep. And we're talking about sleep in the context of your immune system today. So first we'll talk about how much sleep do kids need. So toddlers up to age 2 years need actually 11 to 14 hours of sleep a day, and that includes naps. So if your toddlers are taking naps, that can be included in their total time of sleep. Kids, so pre-primary kids up to age 5 need 10 to 13 hours of sleep a day. Elementary kids up to age 12 need 9 to 12 hours, and teenagers, despite them usually sleeping more, are about at the adult level, 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Sleep is important for so many parts of the body, but also for the immune system as well. So many studies have shown that inadequate sleep has actually been linked to almost having like an immunodeficiency. It's that powerful. So if you don't have enough sleep, then you're essentially immunodeficient. One study actually found that, and this was in adults, but I would imagine could be extrapolated to kids as well. They looked at people that slept fewer than 5 hours per night, and they actually found that they had a significantly higher chance of developing the common cold. Taking all other factors out, just the amount of sleep, and that's what linked to that.
2020 at our good old NIH, when I was, I don't know, no, I was not there by then. 2020, I was not there.
Beginning of 2020.
The beginning of 2020, I left NIH, but I don't know when this study was done. That's not important. But this is very interesting. They studied kids and they looked at the amount of sleep that they had had just prior to vaccination and looked at their immune response. So guess what? The ones that didn't sleep well, the 3-4 days before they got the vaccine, their immune response was suppressed, meaning they did not produce enough antibodies. So eventually they caught up, but initial antibody production by these kids was less. So it shows how important sleep is to make sure that, as soon as an infection hits, you go gangbusters on it. And the same study also showed a tremendous amount of importance played by sleep on the gut microbiome.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. If you have a good diet full of fiber, they found that you had better sleep, and better sleep is better for the immune system. So everything deeper, more restorative sleep, exactly. So for kids, how do you encourage good sleep? One of the big things is to make sure the sleep environment is good. So a dark, quiet room, no TV, no screens, and at least the 1 hour prior to sleep, because it allows the brain to kind of quiet down and reset itself and get ready to sleep. Studies have shown that being read to or reading a book prior to sleep also, for kids, also gives more restorative sleep. So another plug for reading more books. Firm mattress, small pillow, not 7,000 stuffed animals or blankets, but just a couple. So they're not, tossing and turning, that sort of thing. And an ambient temperature, not too cold, not too hot. And also for kids are creatures of habit. So a consistent schedule, especially during the week, during school time, is really important for getting good sleep. It's pretty unusual that kids need help with getting to sleep because their minds are able to get to rest better than an adult mind is. But if you're traveling or there's some unexpected change in schedule, you can safely give very low doses of melatonin. I would talk to your doctor before doing that. And also a natural sleep aid is chamomile. So chamomile tea or chamomile flavored items will help the body relax. Lavender as well. I think I talked about most of this already, but just to reiterate the fact that good hygiene is a very important part of keeping your immune system healthy. So I may not have, I did. Hand washing is probably number one, with soap and water for the appropriate amount of time. Sing happy birthday twice, I think is what I was told, or twinkle, twinkle, little star. Basically, it's for a full minute, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Don't quote me on the time, but I know singing happy birthday song twice is enough for proper hand washing with soap. Hand washing, you can never do it too much, in my opinion. So before every meal, after the bathroom, as much as you can. Hand washing is not as potent as, what's it called? The antibiotic,
antibacterial.
The hand gel. That's what I'm going for. We could probably have another podcast on sanitization.
I was going to say, I know you were leading there.
Yeah,
right?
So we would prefer hand washing. Also, hand washing is more effective than gel for certain bacteria, particularly
and for general health.
Yeah, for general health too. But there's a bacteria called Clostridium difficile, which is you can only get rid of by hand washing with soap and water, not with hand gel. That's a topic for another day. Anyway. We talked about masking when appropriate. We talked about sneezing in the crook of your arm. One thing related to kids that I didn't mention, other than masking when they're sick, is also to keep them home from school and daycare when they're sick. So a general rule in pediatrics is once he or she has been fever-free without medicine for 24 hours. So if you're giving them paracetamol around the clock, that doesn't mean they don't have a fever. You have to see that the fever doesn't come back. Once they have not had a fever for 24 hours, they can be safely sent back to school or daycare or college or whatever. That will stop the spread of the disease at the source, hopefully. But that's probably the most important thing, is keeping the sick child away from other sick children and breaking the chain. So how do you do this? Just set a good example, really, for your kids. Do everything. Obviously, adults need to do the same thing. Do everything for yourself. A good example of why good hygiene is effective is just look at what happened. They're doing studies now, retrospective studies, looking back at other respiratory infections during COVID pandemic and lockdown. So when kids were not in school, when everyone was masked, when everyone stayed home and isolated from everyone else, there was like no influenza and RSV was gone down, and all these other respiratory viruses just took a nosedive.
Why is that?
Exactly,
Simple.
Because of good hygiene and good isolation practices. So in moderation, that should be done just going forward. The other thing you can do for your kids, other than setting a good example, is there's lots of good videos and books talking about good hygiene. Daniel Tiger comes to mind. I think there's songs about hand washing.
So, in all this, I think we've spent a lot of time. I think we should do this part, the next part in the next episode, because I think we've gone on to part one, I think is enough. Let's go to part 2 and talk about this.
And finish it up.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay. See you next time.
Bye.
Be healthy.
Yeah.